In life, strength isn't born, it's forged. Many believe Sigma males possess unique traits: independence, deep focus, emotional control. But why do they often face trials before they rise? Why does hardship seem to come before their true success? This video explores a spiritual idea. Before God elevates someone, before he gives influence, insight, or status, he tests them. For Sigma males, those tests aren't punishments, they're preparation. Tests become the foundation for elevation. Because without testing, resilience is fragile, purpose is vague, and leadership collapses. We won't judge the trials. We won't claim to know why hardship happens. Instead, we'll look at 6 reasons God tests these men before he elevates them. We'll explore how each trial builds stronger character, deeper vision, and better leadership. And we'll do it simply. No judgments, no jargon, just clear insight. Whether you've faced hard times yourself or watched someone go through conflict before success, this video will offer fresh perspective. It's not about automatic reward, it's about preparation. Sigma males don't skip the school of life. They earn their place through growth. By the end, you'll see that every struggle holds meaning. You'll understand why elevation often comes on the other side of testing. And you may even recognize your own journey in these reasons. Let's begin with the first reason: how testing builds resilience. Reason number 1. To build inner resilience. Inner resilience isn't just toughness. It's the quiet confidence that no obstacle will break you. For Sigma males, many early tests, loss, rejection, failure, shape that resilience. Divine testing isn't about cruelty. It's about preparation. Think of steel. It isn't strong until it's tempered, heated, hammered, cooled, stretched. Testing is that process. Without it, elevation is brittle. Sigma males face challenges alone. They lose friends. They get passed over. They fight inner doubt. And every time they decide to rise again, their spirit grows stronger. They learn they aren't fragile. Their mind becomes a fortress. But resilience isn't about ignoring pain. It's about facing it and choosing purpose again. It's about tasting failure and still trusting again, including trusting God's timing. Those who rise too fast without resilience can crumble when influence or responsibility comes. But tested Sigma males stand firm, because they've already walked through fire. This reason reminds us that strength from struggle isn't shame, it's safety. It's what keeps legacy from collapsing when praise stops or pressure begins. Reason number 2, to clarify purpose. Tests clear the mind. They strip away noise. They make Sigma males ask, what matters inside the struggle and beyond it? Without testing, purpose can be borrowed. It becomes what the world tells me to chase. But testing forces introspection. What matters deeply? What kind of man do I want to become? God's tests are like clearing storms. They reveal true direction. Many Sigma males discover their real mission during setbacks. Maybe it's caring for others. Maybe it's building a service or art worth risking for. Maybe it's learning resilience to help others heal. That purpose becomes more concrete because the trial pressed it into shape. It's no longer a vague whisper. It becomes the voice in the dark that keeps him moving. Purpose also becomes his compass. Even when the world pulls left or right, he knows his north. Tests sharpen his moral vision, making him steady even when success arrives. Without purpose, elevation feels hollow. But tested Sigma males build from inside outward. Their purpose is their foundation, so elevation won't shift them off their ground. Reason number 3, to refine leadership. Leadership isn't something that comes from titles or applause. It's not about directing people or holding control. Instead, true leadership grows through struggle, reflection, and self-awareness. One of the main reasons Sigma males face tests before rising is because those trials build the kind of leadership you can't get any other way. Think about it. A man who has only known comfort may carry confidence, but it can easily turn into entitlement. Without challenge, it's hard to understand real responsibility. But when a Sigma male faces disappointment, betrayal, or tough decisions, he learns new layers of leadership. One test might be when a project fails unexpectedly. Instead of blaming others, he has to ask honest questions. What didn't go according to plan? How did his own choices affect the result? He learns that leadership isn't just pushing forward. It's pausing to evaluate, adjusting courses, and owning mistakes. Another test could be in personal relationships, those moments when he loses someone close or experiences unfair criticism. In those times, he discovers the cost of letting pride run the show. True leaders don't hide from feedback. When faced with harsh words, has he listened deeply? Has he responded with humility or defended his position first? Trials also bring hard conversations. Maybe a teammate underperforms or a friend drifts away. A Sigma man who hasn't been tested might avoid the discomfort or prematurely demand loyalty. But testing forces him to learn empathy. He learns how to speak truth with kindness, to listen before prescribing solutions, to invite collaboration rather than demand results. That kind of leadership is refined, slowly, intentionally. He moves from managing people to serving people. He leads not because he must, but because he understands what people need. He builds trust not by force, but by showing up authentically when it matters. At the same time, tests develop patience. In a world of instant everything, leadership is messy and slow. Big goals don't happen overnight. Careers don't transform in a day. But a tested Sigma male, forged in hardship, learns that slow wins can sustain. He plans long-term. He handles slow progress not with frustration, but with discipline and vision. Those early tests also teach resilience. He learns that failure isn't a full stop, it's a checkpoint. He grows skilled at starting again. He builds the ability to persevere when momentum fades. That persistence becomes part of his leadership. When others give up, he keeps going, and they follow. Perhaps most important, testing grows integrity. When no one is watching, when praise is silent and challenges are loud, does he still do right? That question matters. The answers during trials shape the kind of leader he becomes. A leader of values. A leader of trust. A leader who can inspire others to stay on purpose even when it's hard. In short, testing isn't just a barrier. It's a crucible for real leadership. It breaks pride, sharpens empathy, strengthens patience, and cements integrity. That's why Sigma males are tested before elevated, so they lead not by decree but by example. Reason number 4. To test loyalty to values. Every man claims to have values. But values mean nothing until they're tested. Anyone can be honest when it's easy. Anyone can be kind when life is good. But what about when being honest costs you an opportunity? Or when kindness gets you taken for granted? That's when you find out who really lives by their principles. Sigma males often walk a path that isn't crowded. They choose truth over comfort. They prefer clarity over popularity. But the thing about truth and clarity is they come with a price. And that's exactly why they are tested before they are lifted. When a Sigma male goes through hardship, his values face direct pressure. Say he believes in loyalty. The test might come in the form of betrayal from someone close. Does he hold on to bitterness? Or does he forgive and move on, still grounded in who he is. Or maybe he says he values hard work and discipline. Then he hits a long season with no results. Projects stall. People quit. Doors close. Will he still keep showing up when the world tells him to stop? God allows these tests to see if his values are rooted deep or just floating on the surface. A man can speak like a leader, dress like a man of principle, but what happens when no one is watching? That's where real loyalty shows. It also applies to moments of temptation. Power, attention, shortcuts. Will he take what looks easy or stick to his deeper code? Sometimes he's tested through offers that look good on the outside, but compromise who he is on the inside. Saying no to those isn't always rewarded right away. In fact, it can look like a loss. But to the man who passes that test, something bigger is being built. It's also about consistency. When your values don't match your actions, people notice. And so does God. A Sigma male with strong internal loyalty doesn't shift with the crowd. His actions line up with his words, especially when it's inconvenient. People admire that. Even if they don't agree with him, they trust him. Because you can feel when someone is being real. That kind of man becomes safe to follow. He's not trying to win favor, he's just walking in truth. That's why testing matters. Elevation without integrity will collapse. The higher you go, the more pressure you face. And if you haven't already proven your loyalty to your values when stakes were small, you won't survive when the stakes are high. God doesn't want empty success. He wants a man who can handle success without losing who he is. That's why Sigma males are tested, not to break them, but to purify them. A man who has kept his values under pressure is rare. But once he's tested, he becomes unshakable. And when that man is finally elevated, everyone can feel the difference. Reason number 5. To foster humility. Before God lifts a man up, he often brings him low. Not because he wants to punish, but because he wants to protect. Pride is dangerous. It blinds. It isolates. It whispers that you don't need anyone, not even God. That's why humility is not optional. It's essential. And that's why Sigma males go through tests that humble them before they rise. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself. It's knowing where your strength ends. It's understanding that every gift, every breakthrough, every success comes from something higher than yourself. When a Sigma male begins to understand that, everything changes. Early on, he might feel unstoppable. He solves problems fast. He stands alone with ease. He earns respect without asking for it. But over time, the tests come. He faces something too big, too uncertain, too painful. Something that makes him pause and realize, this time strength alone won't get me through. It could be a loss, a betrayal, a financial hit, a health scare, something that shakes the illusion of control. And in that moment he has two choices: hold tighter to pride, or let go and grow deeper. When he chooses humility, he learns to ask for help. He stops pretending to have all the answers. He listens more, judges less. He sees others not as tools or obstacles, but as people with their own struggles. That shift changes everything. It also makes him more relatable. No one connects with pride. But people are drawn to someone who admits their own process. Who can say, I failed too, but I kept going. That kind of presence doesn't intimidate, it invites. It builds bridges. Humility also keeps success from changing him. When the elevation comes and people start to praise, the humble Sigma male doesn't believe the hype. He stays grounded. He remembers where he came from. He remembers who helped him. And most of all, he remembers the quiet seasons when no one saw his work. God honors that. Because a man who knows he's not the center of the world becomes someone he can trust with influence. That influence won't be used to boost ego, but to build people. It won't be used to silence others, but to lift them. This doesn't mean he becomes weak or soft. In fact, humility is a form of strength. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to dominate. It just shows up, does what's right, and doesn't need applause to keep going. That's why tests that break pride are necessary. Because elevation without humility is unstable. It becomes self-serving. It falls fast. But elevation built on humility lasts. It creates legacy, not just success. And that is why God humbles Sigma males before he elevates them, not to harm them, but to shape them into leaders the world actually needs. Reason number 6, to inspire others. When you go through hardship, you're not the only one affected. People are always watching, some silently, some openly. They see how you respond to setbacks, how you carry pain, how you keep going even when life gives no encouragement. For Sigma males, one of the most powerful reasons God tests them before lifting them is so that their story can inspire others. The world is full of people struggling quietly. Some are fighting battles they can't talk about. Others are close to giving up on their goals, on their faith, or on themselves. When they see a Sigma male rise, but only after walking through fire, it reminds them that they can survive too. It's not about being a role model on purpose. It's not about public speeches or perfect social media posts. It's about how they live in silence, how they carry discipline in private, how they speak with honesty, and how they stay calm when life tries to shake them. That's the real inspiration. Sometimes inspiration comes from pain. A Sigma male who lost everything, money, trust, friends, but rebuilt slowly, shows what strength really looks like. Another who faced personal battles, loneliness, anxiety, deep doubt, and still found purpose, reminds others that healing is real. Younger men might look at a Sigma male and think, if he can go through all that and still hold his ground, so can I. People in broken places might feel seen, even if nothing is said directly. That quiet example plants hope. There's also a special kind of inspiration in restraint. A man who could get revenge, but chooses peace. A man who could flex his status, but stays low-key. A man who could show off, but leads with quiet confidence. That behavior speaks volumes. Even those who doubted him at first may come to respect him in the end. Not because he argued his worth, but because he proved it by surviving and rising. The same people who once overlooked him may start asking for his advice or copying his moves. That's the effect of being tested and passing the test. You don't have to announce your strength. You become an example simply by existing. That's influence with integrity. That's elevation with meaning. God often chooses Sigma males for this role because they don't crave spotlight. They don't want applause. They just want truth. And that's why their story holds weight. It's honest. It's earned. It's lived. So when their season of testing ends and the promotion comes, whether it's in career, relationships, or personal growth, it's not just for them. It's for every quiet person watching, waiting, hoping. They see what's possible. They see that survival can lead to success. And that message can shift lives. That's why the test matters. Not just for the man being tested, but for the people his story will touch. Every test has a purpose. Every delay, every setback, every quiet night spent wondering, why now, or why me? None of it is wasted. For Sigma males, these tests come first because the elevation is heavy. It requires strength that's proven, not just claimed. They are tested to build inner resilience, to find their true purpose, to refine their leadership, to stand firm in their values, to walk with humility, and to live in a way that inspires others. God doesn't waste trials. He uses them to shape men who don't just succeed, but who stand the test of time. Men who lead without pride, who speak without noise, who rise without crushing others. And when that time comes, when the door finally opens, it won't be a surprise. It will be a result. A reflection of everything endured and everything learned. So if you're a Sigma male going through hard times right now, don't give up. Your test has a reason. And your story isn't over, it's just being written. Which of these reasons hit home for you? Which test have you been facing in silence? Drop your thoughts below and let's talk about it. If this video gave you something to think about, give it a like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone else walking their own test. Until next time, stay patient, stay honest, and trust the process.